Okay, hey guys, welcome back to the show. It's January 27th. I'm Nathan Creeps, joined by my co-host, Mr. Bryce Borshow. We have a great content full episode ahead of us for today. Our sports teams are finally winning again. The weather is like 45 degrees out in late January. Life can't get any better right now. 2025, it was worse. It was really bad. We're climbing out of that. February is going to be the greatest month of my life. We'll jump into some more details why things are going so well right now for your boys. But Bryce, how was your weekend, brother?
It was good. It was really chill. I'm so glad to just hear the tone in your voice change because we've had the saddest couple podcasts and you got a light in your eyes now, and that's just really nice to see. It was a good weekend. Great weekend. We celebrated my dad's 54th birthday, I want to say.
Happy birthday.
Yep. So Papa Bort got a little celebration, cake, candles, a couple playoff games that were really fun to watch. And otherwise, I was taking care of a sick girlfriend who we think had COVID. Haven't heard that name in a long time, many years, but she was sick from Thursday to Sunday. So feeling a little better today, but
Crazy. My mom's been sick for 8 or 9 straight days right now with the stomach flu. She's been in and out of the hospital, and they're beginning some nausea medicine. It's just that time. People are getting hit with it, man. So shout out to my mom. Hopefully you get better.
yep.
I'm sick
Well
of
wishes
calling
to
you.
Jane.
Yeah, every time I call her, she sounds like a frog, but I think she's on the road to recovery here.
That's good. Yeah, it just has pillaged the state of Iowa. So we finally got hit. Darian had done a really good job of staying healthy. I had a little sore throat last week. I don't know if anyone noticed. I had a flu podcast episode last week.
Did you?
Yep, that was the most sickness I'd had all season, and I hope it's the last, but you just never know. It's been a tough year for everybody.
Nothing can heal you a little bit more than the nice warm sunlight of a 45-degree day in January. There's no doubt about it. That's what I told my mom. Go get some fresh air. That'll heal you. They'll put you in the right track. So I'm going to get out. I can't wait to just walk around. I might go for a freaking run. I don't run, Bryce, but I might do it today.
Oh, I almost remember you saying something about getting back into the running thing. Did I hear that incorrectly or?
No, you're right. I started in the fall. I was running about maybe a half mile a day, and that's a lot for me. Then I don't know what the hell happened. Maybe it just got cold out and I quit running. And yesterday I actually went for another run. It was maybe a sprint for about 4.5 blocks. I'm no Michael Admire waking up every day and running for miles, but I'm trying to get a little shape because we have Ragbri coming to the state of Iowa here. I got to get in shape for that. I got to get a bike. We'll be jumping into that here in a little bit later in the episode. But I went to the world's famous boat and RV show here at the Unidome this weekend.
Oh, really? That's actually a really big deal. I remember that from college. They'd take over the whole dome, and how was it?
It was good. It's a humbling experience to remind you of all the nice things that you can afford in life. But for at least an hour of my day, I was able to feel a little bit rich and walk in some of these nice RVs that are worth I don't even know what the top price unit was. Maybe $170,000. One of these RVs, they're just getting ridiculous. They're so nice and so extravagant nowadays that when you're in it, you don't even feel like you're in an RV. And I was even
so nice now.
It's ridiculous. And I'm like, I don't know if I go freaking camping if I had this RV. I just sit here all day.
Watch freaking sports. A lot of people, they call it glamping, but I feel like you've taken so much out of camping that it's really you're just road tripping in style and then staying at national parks. So, in my opinion, there's cruise families, there's RV families, there's lake house families. If you had some disposable income, do you think you and Madison would be an RV family? Is that something that you would be interested in?
RV family is the poor version of a lake house family. The ultimate goal is to have a lake house. There's no doubt about it. Right. And I love fishing. I just love being on the water. But if it came down to it, her parents own an RV, so we go camping every year up in Faribault, Minnesota for a week, and we go with 70 other family members, and what a time that is. Obviously, things get a little bit crowded in the camper, but it's all part of the experience. You don't want to be too comfortable, otherwise you're back at home.
Yeah, we do a little cabin adventure in Wisconsin every single year, and it's the basics, and I actually probably prefer that. If I'm going to be out in nature, I want to feel nature. That being said, the RVs are pretty sick.
And I have one of my worst, all right, the three worst things about being Nathan Creeps is storms don't hit you. My allergies are terrible. I can never breathe. And then the third is probably mosquitoes. When I'm in town, they damn well know it. It's unbelievable. And so that's my worst part about camping. No matter how many layers of socks or whatever I'm wearing, they'll find a way to my ankles, and I can't stop itching. I'm ridiculous.
I'm so jealous of our friend Jeremy that has that type of blood where you don't get affected by mosquitoes. I've always wanted to do a transplant and just have that blood because I get eaten up.
Man, maybe we could do like a blood transfusion before I go up there and get some of Jared's blood.
Yeah, you probably should do that.
Man, I don't know. I'm just really happy right now, Bryce. January 27th has treated me incredibly well. I mean, incredibly well here, and we're only at 11 a.m. here on this Monday. We're going to look back on our new segment here on this date in Iowa. So we're looking back here on January 27th. Back in 1921, Academy Award-winning actress Donna Reed was born on a farm near Denison, Iowa. After high school graduation, Reed went on to truly live in a wonderful life, starring in a silver screen. She was literally in the movie, Bryce, A Wonderful Life, which I think you maybe had on your top 5-7 Christmas movies.
If it wasn't, it was an honorable mention. It's so old now that it's kind of a tough watch, but the storyline is great. Are you a fan?
Never. God, I think we watched it one time way back when I was in like 3rd or 4th grade. I know the concept of the story. I don't have the patience to watch an old film nowadays, but I know that's arguably debated as the #1 Christmas movie of all time. So it's good to see a little bit of Iowa blood put into that film, which is ironic because we're going to be ranking our top 5 Iowa-based movies here at the end of this episode. But looking back at January 27th, it's been kind of lame here in the state. There's no doubt about it. If anything else, in 1870, the first issue of the Cedar Rapids Gazette was published. This paper, still in circulation today, obviously, was one of the first daily newspapers in Iowa and has won many and numerous awards for its journalism.
Yeah, I actually read a little bit from the Gazette today. I think one of our news topics came from the Gazette. So I guess that's kind of cool. It's tough I don't know if we're going to be able to follow up every single week with This Day in Iowa with a bang like last week's Ozzy Osbourne. But, I like the new segment. I appreciate it.
Yeah. About the segment, I'm a big weather guy. So honestly, my favorite part about this segment is looking at some record highs and record lows. Mm-hmm. Today, you would think that we'd be itching way above average when it comes to temperature. So on this date, Bryce, for January 27th, the record high in Des Moines is 63 degrees with a record low of -20. And I'm glad we're more towards that high today.
Do you know what year?
No, I didn't. I couldn't find the year.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sometimes I just show those record highs. I just remember a couple of years when we were kids that were like really warm in January, and I was pumped up because we got to go like throw the football around and do that kind of thing. I wonder if it's like early 2000s.
There's no better recess in that first recess of the new year where you could wear shorts outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I know there's like a certain temperature threshold where you could wear like a sweatshirt and a hat if mittens were requirement. And if there was no snow pile outside and I had to wear snow pants, snow jacket, screw that. Yep. Keep me inside for the day. So that first refreshing recess, and they might be out there today. I'm sure they'll be in pants today, but it's a start.
Yeah, the big words for us was boots off blacktop. As soon as the boots off blacktop came off, we got to go play football in the yard. But man, like nothing better than getting to put up a couple touchdowns at recess when it's like 45 degrees in January.
Here's an important question. Are we in full spring?
Okay. I'm glad you brought this up because I did have this as a mental note and I didn't write it down. In my mind, we're a little early for full spring. I'm not expecting anything out of this, like couple days of warm weather, but it kind of is. What do you think?
It's weird. We talked about last year, the winter really compacted within 2 weeks. And I had a weird itch at the last year after we got through those 2 weeks. And I was telling my coworkers, I'm like, guys, I don't know. I think winter might be over. I'm feeling it. And I was right. Yeah. Winter was over. And this year, about a week and a half ago, we had that 45-degree day, and then it went back down to the negatives. And now we're climbing up. The rest of the week looks really good. And I saw a lot of projected forecasts for the month of February that winter is going to come in February. Mm-hmm. And I was like, shit, no surprise there. We haven't had anything yet. And then also I saw Reed Timmer, my favorite meteorologist, storm chaser guy, post this morning saying, poof, it's gone. Yep. Nope. No winter storm. There were the projections I had for at least central Midwest and especially Iowa just vanished.
Interesting. So we have to do a snowfall total. Like this might be the lowest amount of snowfall we've ever gotten in a year.
Oh, there's no doubt about it if it stays like this.
That's crazy, dude. Uh-huh. So maybe it is time to say it's Fool Spring. We have those 12 seasons of the Midwest, and Iowa lives up to every single one of those seasons. So it might be Fool Springtime.
And man, us saying this right now has Mother Nature licking its chops. It's like, I got you bastards right where I want you.
Yeah,
we got to be a little careful
true.
about jumping on them because, you ride this high and lows of emotions, getting over one part of the season and moving on to the next, right? And my favorite time of the year is moving from winter on to spring. But so I don't want to jump in it too quickly. I am going to live this high today, and here for the next couple of days, we're going to get up to the 50s. It looks like, but just knowing the back of your mind, it's always a possibility.
Yeah, and shoot, if February snow is gone, I'm not putting it past March or April to have a little flurry here and there either. So, yeah, you're dead on. I don't want to speak it into existence, but I will take these nice couple days in stride and enjoy them.
Yeah, can't wait to get outside for the day. But Bryce, arguably the biggest news here in the state of Iowa, the Cedar Falls, the Iowa RAGBRAI has announced its 2025 route, which it does include Cedar Falls here. Have you had a chance to look at the routes?
I looked at it a little bit last night when Scotty B sent us the route, and I'm eyeing it. So we did Ames to Des Moines a couple of years back, and I had a lot of fun. I was ill-prepared, and I did cramp up pretty considerably, even though it was one of the easier rides of all time.
That being said, the hottest day?
Yes, that being said, it was like 93 degrees, which you can kind of expect in July. And it's been enough time now where the pain has left my body, and I'm considering in Iowa Falls to Cedar Falls route. Don't hold me to it, but I would do a day of RAGBRAI again this year.
I think we have to.
Yeah.
I think Cedar Falls is going to be the biggest day for the RAGBRAI. If you're looking at all the towns here, I mean, no matter what town it goes to, it's always a freaking festival. We're going to be starting off the day from Orange City over to Milford, Iowa, with a total distance of 70 miles. I think that's it's the second longest trip of the route that this year. And then they'll be moving from Milford, Iowa, on over to Estherville for 44 miles that day. Day 3, they're going to be heading to Forest City. Shout out to my aunt Robin, who will be probably hosting some people up there in Forest City.
Nice.
My parents, I think it was back in 2017 or 18, hosted about 50 some people when it came through Algona. And all I remember is that we went downtown. You do what you do when RAGBRAI is in town, right? You go downtown, you just party, right? So I get back, I'm a little stumbly, and there's probably 30 some people sleeping on our basement floor, and I'm trying to walk over them, and I just could not for the life of me get to my bedroom door. It was unbelievable. So luckily they're all up super early in the morning and head on to the next route. I'd have to interview them.
Dude,
good times.
RAGBRAI is different. So I always had an issue with doing it because our family goes on that Wisconsin trip. It's now fallen on a different week, so I've been able to do it. I actually enjoyed the time that it maybe 3 years ago now that it went through Charles City and got to see that party. So you obviously had a pretty young age, early experience to it. I'd always heard about it, but didn't really know. The most fun I had wasn't even riding in it. It was truly just going to the party in Charles City.
It's such a spectacle. It's literally a moving train party throughout the state of Iowa that week, and it brings so much revenue to these small towns. Not even the stoppage town it goes through. I know Wesley, Iowa that year went through Algona. Wesley was just on its way to this next destination. I know that town pulled over $150,000.
Yeah,
just for those people riding through. It's unbelievable what it does for the state and for these little communities.
Have you ever done a ride? Have you ever done a day of it?
Nope, never have. Okay. And I've been talking to Scotty B about getting a bike. Here. So I mean, if there's a sign, the Everett Abyss right now, this has to be the year.
Totally. I mean, definitely the overnight towns are the big party, but then those stops along the way, all the little towns have vendors set up, and it's great for everybody. I know that there's a lot of people that don't enjoy it either. There's the pickup. People don't like how busy their town gets, but I think it's a positive for those towns.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one day thing, right? Obviously the traffic's absolutely unbearable. There's no doubt about that, but it is what it is, right? And they're going to be moving from day 3 Forest City onto day 4, heading to Iowa Falls, dropping straight south. That's a good hike. I guess it's only 6 to 8 miles. It's not even the longest route, but mine-wise, it must be old downhill, hopefully, I would assume, heading south. And then this is where the Iowa Chill fam is thinking about hopping on the RAGBRAI for a day. potentially from Iowa Falls on over to Cedar Falls the following day for a total of 49.5 miles. I might have to go take my car and maybe drive through that route to see if there's any steep inclines or hills or anything to battle to maybe talk myself out of it. I really want to do it.
Nate, I worry that if you do that, you might talk yourself out of it, because I know something that you've said in the past. When you're on a road trip, you don't want to see the mile markers on the side of the road because it reminds you of how much time you have until you're at your destination. I worry that if you go and look at the route, you're going to spook yourself.
There's no doubt about it. Man, I'd have to like blindfold myself and just without have to look at the mileage. Yeah, I'm so weird like that. I'd really have to get into shape. Like you said, you guys struggled from Ames over to Des Moines, which is probably one of the easiest routes in RAGBRAI history.
Yes. Yeah, it was just over 50 miles. We did a detour over the High Trestle Trail and I think made it about 56 miles for the day. That's an easy route. And, you know, with no training and the heat, it caught up to me, man. I was cramping up. I almost didn't make it. I was keeled over on the side of the road in the north side of Des Moines, in between Ankeny and Des Moines. And I'm like, man, I'm going to get taken in by some of these homeless folks. And like, I'm going to have to live with them because I'm just not making it to the end.
Yeah, a big decision will come down to the weather that day.
Mm-hmm.
It always seems to be scorching hot the day you want to do it.
Yes. No matter what. Middle of July. Like last state fair, you know, you expect the hottest weather of all time in the middle of August. It was complete 70s. I don't know if there's ever been a RAGBRAI year where it's less than 85 degrees. I mean, I'm sure there's days here and there, but it's just going to be warm. It's going to be humid.
I mean, it's perfect for the bike riders who are partying 7 days a week, right? You can wake up and just sweat it out the next day. I mean, these guys are built different who are doing the full 7-day stretch. Incredible determination to get that done. If we weren't going to do the Iowa Falls to Cedar Falls one, I also thought about doing the Cedar Falls to Oelwein just because it's 9 miles shorter at 38 miles.
Yeah. Every mile counts. Like, you really don't feel it until about mile 20. And then mile 20 through 45 you're starting to get gas. And then those last 10 miles are truly like, you know, that last 9 miles might save you. You never know.
So looking back at the schedule, Bryce, we'll get to the final destination here. I think this is my favorite RAGBRAI. I love when RAGBRAI goes through northern Iowa. Mm-hmm. I don't like when it's down in south central Iowa. For some reason, it rubs me wrong. So I like going through northern Iowa. It's going to be ending day 7, 61-mile journey from Oelwein over to Gutenberg. And if we were to redo our top 7 favorite Iowa towns, I would pick Gutenberg at number 1. It even make my top 7 last time. Gutenberg, I have no idea how to say it. I'm going to get hammered for that. There's no doubt about it. But it's easily my favorite town I've ever been through. When I make any deliveries in Northeast Iowa, I make sure I drive through Gutenberg.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's unbelievable.
I've driven through it. My freshman year college roommate, Chris Eady, was from Gutenberg. And it did make my top 5 towns, I believe. I think I had it on there as one of the most beautiful towns.
Unbelievable. It reminds me, you ever been to Hannibal, Missouri?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reminds me of a little bit of Hannibal.
Yep.
Not quite as dramatic looking as Hannibal is, but man, it's a town that if you were to look in there, you'd be like, there's no way I'm in Iowa.
Yeah, it's nice. Northeast Iowa is beautiful. And then it's just like anything west of Des Moines and south you're kind of in the barren wasteland. Yeah, Gutenberg's beautiful.
So I don't know. Overall, I think that's a great 2025 route, total out to a total distance of 406 miles. That might be my favorite, just because it goes through Cedar Falls. It means a little bit more this year than ending in my favorite town, going through North Iowa. I love this route. I think you should be incredibly excited for 2025.
It's fun too, because Cedar Falls, you know, going to college there, spending a couple of years after, you realize how big of a bike town it is. So you've obviously got Single Speed, the brewery, one of the top breweries in the whole state, whose theme is based around biking. And honestly, like, that whole town just rallies around. When I lived in Cedar Falls, I was biking something like 50 to 60 miles a week. And ever since moving here, I haven't. But it's just, it's set up for a really, really fun day. I think there's going to be like a great crowd of people that
there's going to be a really good vibe in Cedar Falls that week.
Yep.
Especially that day when it comes to town.
Hey, man, let's talk. Let's keep the vibes up. Keep talking to people. If we can get everybody involved, I'm totally down to do it again.
Okay. All right. We'll keep on track there. I got to be looking for a bike here and get in the shape. I ain't jumping that thing cold turkey. Caitlin Clark, jersey retirement is officially this Sunday. There as the Iowa woman host, number 4 USC Trojans, and Juju Watkins.
Huge day. Do you have a number on the ticket price for that game?
Yes, I do. So before I jump into the current ticket prices, I know my dad and my brother who will be going to the game after we go to Des Moines this weekend. He's going to go straight from Des Moines to Iowa City to watch the jersey retirement. But they've been looking at tickets for the last 4 or 5 months now, and at one point, the lowest ticket for this game I think it was like $600 or $700.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously you see the somewhat decline here recently of the Iowa women's basketball, which has kind of driven down the prices. Right now via StubHub, Bryce, you can find the lowest ticket price at $133.
Okay.
The highest ticket price at $804.
That's much more affordable.
Much more manageable than the $700 minimum.
Yeah, man. Some of those. Games.
I mean, then you look at your transaction fee. You're probably paying close to $1,000 at the end of that, 900 or so.
Oh man, the original. This is like worst nightmare if you plan on buying and reselling it. But I want to say that there were some tickets, like record-setting tickets, last year too, and I don't remember the exact figure, but hey, man, I could do 130. Yeah.
Yeah. So, however, I will be watching this one from the TV. Colby tried dragging me into this one after a good festivity plan we have for the boys this weekend.
Yes.
And for a couple of birthday parties in Des Moines, I will rather go home and sit and watch this on the couch.
Fair enough. Yeah, we got a little birthday party this weekend. So we're, a little detour from what you got planned here, but we got a Topgolf this year. Never been to this one. I just went to my first Topgolf out in Salt Lake City. So I'm kind of excited to break in the Des Moines Topgolf with you guys.
Yeah, I still don't believe there's a Topgolf in Des Moines. I can't believe I haven't seen it yet.
It even driving past it now, it's like that's not really there because it's just plopped right on the edge of like the Jordan Creek Mall area. And I'm like, it's there, but I once I'm actually like swinging clubs there, I'll understand that.
Is it like right off the interstate?
No, it's right off of
so that's why
Jordan Creek Parkway and Mill Civic.
Every Topgolf ever has always built right off the interstate. Maybe that's why I don't believe it's there.
So next time we're driving out of my neighborhood and we get to the top of the hill, I'll show you. You can actually see it from our neighborhood.
Okay.
But yeah, it's kind of a figment of my imagination until I swing.
I got to be careful with my swing this weekend.
Yes.
I'm still recovering from my 2-week back injury.
Do you have a back injury update?
90%. Each day is the best I felt here in the last 2 weeks. So just being careful about it. No nukes for me. Unfortunately, I probably have a pitcher of beer in me. Then I'll think I'm the Hulk again. So I do got to keep an eye on that. I've been doing my stretches about 20 to 30 minutes every single day.
That's old guy stuff. Any update on the hot pepper? Are you thinking about doing round 2 and maybe getting this next one on camera, or is that...
the hot chip?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Each day I'm more accepted to doing it. So I'm afraid it's only a matter of time, not if.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't blame you if you don't, but it sounds like the more you're speaking it into existence, it's gonna.
I'm not gonna let 2025 take me any more than it has. I'm gonna go back and take it.
Okay. Hey, I'm here for it. Keep the audience and myself posted on the back and the hot chip.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, we'll do. All right, Bryce, you want to give me an update here? What's going on with KIMT and KWWL?
Yes. And I had a little bit of a chance to read into this article, which I believe was the Gazette, so I trust the news source. Last week, I don't know if you saw this news, but KWWL and KIMT, which I believe is Mason City and Rochester local news, announced that they were getting rid of their local meteorologists in an attempt to maybe cut a little bit of the payroll and just default to the Weather Channel. So the holding company, parent company of those groups, Allen Media Broadcasting, got a lot of shit. And I want to say that thousands of people signed a petition down in Atlanta, Georgia, and within a few days, the CEO was like, "Hey, we've heard you guys, and we've heard from our advertisers that this is not a good choice." So between Atlanta, Mississippi, maybe Indiana, a couple different markets, they've actually rolled back that plan. So those guys will definitely keep their jobs, and it sounds like the same groups, KWWL and KIMT, will also keep their jobs.
That's good, because the older I get, the more I love local news, especially the weather. Like I said, I'm a huge weather person. There's no one I want to see more on my TV than Mark Schnackenberg.
Yep. It's something like 30 plus years he's been there.
Yeah. It was sad because he just announced the other day that oh, hey, this is my 30 years here.
Yeah.
Looking forward to a few more. And then like 2 days later, they got this news. But it sounds like he's coming back.
It sounds like he's coming back. They didn't get an official statement from him, but they went off of his Facebook post that said, "Thank you." So it sounds like he's not going anywhere.
It's the power of the people. It reminds me of KXNO, I think, layoff a couple years ago. And these public figures who've been so knowledgeable to the public here on decades had to go finding another few jobs. I know a few got like real estate license, and the power of the people were not letting that happen. So quickly, sponsors said, hey, whatever we got to do on our end to make sure this scene keeps rolling, and which it has, which is great. Local news or die, brother. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, the people want to hear from folks in their area. So I totally get it. And I'm happy to hear the rollback.
When I turn on that TV, I want Ron Steele.
Yes.
Give me the shit that went down in Waterloo this week. There's no doubt about that.
What a legend. Ron Steele, too. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, he is an absolute legend. I saw Keith Murphy posting about this. That's where I get the majority of my news. So good to see that. I think it's trending backwards. The staying where it is instead of heading out.
Yep, that's the word. They're rolling it back, which is awesome.
All right. Well, Bryce, I'm turning 30 this year, and I think fifth graders are starting to mess with me. That's when you start getting old and they start saying these weird phrases. I've had my nephews constantly barrage me on my Snapchat, and who are in like fifth and third grade, and saying, hey, our teacher said if you say this on your I Would Chill podcast, we get like no class or something like that. So I'm going to say it, and I'm probably going to be made fun of because I have no idea what this means. Low taper fade.
You did great. That was a massive W from Nate there.
What the hell does that mean?
It's tough to explain, and I'm gonna probably butcher this, but from what I can tell, it came from a stream from Ninja, the Twitch streamer, and one of the biggest streamers of all time for Fortnite. I don't know exactly the lore here. I don't know if he said it in a funny voice. I don't know if he was just making fun of everyone getting these low taper fades, but something happened here.
That I just can't believe that's a freaking thing right now.
It's a thing.
Okay. All right, whatever. I said a low taper fade. We'll see if a meme is created for me just saying that. Hopefully not. But hopefully that did those kids or get those kids out of class for at least an hour or so.
I hope so too. Nate, you got distracted there for a minute, and I lost my train of thought. What were you looking for there?
I was looking for my phone.
Okay.
Oh, I found it. Because I know because we got to be ranking our top 5 favorite movies here. I want to make sure I had that on site because I'm really good at losing shit 20 times a day. Find it. Bryce, when 2025 has set everything in my life on fire, there's been one organization. There's been one firefighter maintaining this fire from taking over my life completely. And that is the Drake Bulldog basketball team. The gift that keeps on giving my sports teams hope for this year. It wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. Drake does escape with the OT victory in Missouri State and defeats them 69-62. Man, it was get the overtime and take care of business, which it did in overtime, but the regulation was scary. Bennett Sturts leads with 18 points. Mascari follows up with 13 points of 5 boards. That's always reassuring. Your top shooting guard in the country is giving you 5 boards. 21 points from the bench. I've seen a lot of consistency here in the last 6-7 games off the bench. If they're giving me 20-plus points, I'm feeling pretty good about this Drake basketball team. Drake now improves to 18-2.
It's awesome. Hey, Nate, you called out the fact that they needed to get deeper. Come late season, they're going to need some depth, so 20 points is awesome to see. I was talking with my dad a little bit yesterday, and we are a little bit worried that Drake's going to have to pretty much win the MVC tournament down in St. Louis if they want a chance at the big dance, because they don't have a lot of folks on the schedule to get those quality wins. What are your thoughts?
Right now, just win the games in front of you. You're going to be all right. There's still a possibility at large being 18-2. Your 2 losses are a quad 2 and a quad 3, so not terrible. But luckily those were towards the beginning of the Missouri Valley play. So if you can keep winning like they have since those 2 games, it's maybe get away with 3. If you get 4 losses, you probably got to make. Let's say you get one more loss and you make the conference championship, the final round, and you lose that game. I think you get an at-large. I really do. The reason why here, their key victory right now is Vanderbilt, moving to 16-4 in the almighty SEC conference. Okay, and they've now beaten number 6 Tennessee, who was currently number 1 for the majority of the year, and they just beat number 9 Kentucky. I mean, this team is deep. It's a former James Madison coach who made a run there last year at James Madison. So they played the same ball. A lot of good guys I know. They got AJ Hoggard from Michigan State on that roster, and Drake beat them by double digits.
Okay, that's looking better and better as we go on, because Miami and Kansas State and some of those games are not looking as good, but yeah, I guess that Vanderbilt game helps out a ton.
The Kansas State one's unfortunate. They got a lot of talent on Kansas State's roster, and that was a neutral site game, but that neutral site game was a massive fan base. It was definitely a home game for Kansas State in Kansas City. And Drake took care of business there too. Obviously came down to Ben Stert's last second shot, the pulled them away. But I do want to go talk real quick back about Ben Stert's. We've talked all year about how I want him to be more aggressive when it comes to scoring the basketball. And this is where he's saying, Nate, shut up. I know what I got to do to build this team, and he's looking out, assisting his teammates, getting his teammates feeding the ball. He's like, if I'm scoring all the points, these guys got no feel for the game right now. So he's getting his teammates involved. It's your respect, because I was at the RV show, so I was trying to watch my phone, couldn't catch quite all of it. And I just remember Ben Stertz having like 3 points here in the first half. I don't know what he ended with the first half with, but towards the end of the game when he knew, he's like, oh, shit, I got to get going here. You saw him take the ball to the rack, play defense, struggled a little bit on his free throw end. I want to see Ben improve on that. But, man, like I said, we're seeing more diversity here from the Drake Bulldogs, is which we want. But I still want Bennett, who is right now the leading candidate for the MVC Larry Bird Player of the Year. I want to see him get that.
I think it's fair. I at any point in the season, you don't want to see your star player get cold. After seeing him in person a couple of weeks back, I do feel okay about him taking minutes, not off. I mean, just being the facilitator and not taking over the game scoring wise. I do feel like at any moment he can get back on fire. I don't worry about him being as streaky as somebody like Mascari, who, frickin' Mascari has been hot lately. But yeah, I totally get it. Like you'll see it. In my opinion, you'll see it in those big moments that he'll take charge and he'll get those clutch buckets.
I mean, that's exactly what he's done in the big games this year. When it comes down to it, he's been the go-to guy. I'd like to see a little bit more throughout the entire game of that, but like I said, he's saying, Nate, shut up. I'm getting my boys involved, and kudos to him. And that's the one. Here's the one rough thing about playing the MVC. It can only hurt you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't used to. It did not used to be. Like Creighton and Wichita State and even Loyola Chicago for a while. Like used to be.
Which is and here's the thing about Missouri State. I texted Admire immediately after this game and said, how the hell is this team 0-10 in conference play? And he responded back, that's the exact same conversation the coaches are having right now on the bus. So I don't know. It's just like any team can kind of beat you mentality there in the MVC. So you really got to be in your A game. And tip of the hat to Drake again for staying 18-2 and just finding a way to win the games. And no more bigger one coming up right now than the UNI Panthers heading to town 13-8 to take on Drake at the Knapp Center Wednesday evening. And we're going to be having a striped Knapp Center.
Ooh,
for this game.
Nice. Big in-state game. And I know we kind of dogged on the Panthers last week and said that, they're not anything special. That being said, I think they're third in the conference right now.
Yeah, no, like you said, we talked about early in the season that they're projected to be 1 or 2 in the conference, I believe, maybe third. So they're right where you kind of expect them to be. Ben Jacobson's going to get this team together, and they're a streaky, good team. They've had some tough losses, but at times they've looked almost unstoppable when it comes to scoring the basketball.
Yeah, and any in-state game is going to be tough. So I expect it to be close. I do think Drake wins this game, but like anytime you have an in-state game, it's going to be
we've seen this one with Bone Born extend this one to back-to-back, but late buzzer beaters and regulation overtime. They move this thing in the double overtime at the Knapp Center. Toss out your record, toss out your ranking. This one's going to come. It's going to come in hot. And I do want to shout out again, Mr. Michael Admire. I had a close friend, a hometown relative, reach out, who's been a fan of Drake Bulldog basketball since the 1970s. And he was at the Kansas City game versus Kansas State. And he's like, hey, is there any way you could help find me some tickets? He's like, I'm willing to pay to go see Drake again this Wednesday. The weather's looking beautiful. I want to go to the NAB Center. And I reached out to Michael. Hey, what do you recommend here, Michael? He says, I got you. Don't worry about it. Give me an email. So kind. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build the excitement around Drake basketball. And I got people reaching out to me saying, hey, I want to go see Drake basketball. And man, I'm so honored to be a small part of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, you have definitely done your part this season, getting people hyped up. I mean, before the pod, I guess a lot of people don't know, but you have been a supporter of Drake basketball for the last couple of years, and you're only using your platform for good and building Des Moines' team up, and we appreciate that, and it's really cool to see. I personally appreciate Michael getting behind us, listening in to some shows, and obviously hooking up your friends and family. That's sweet.
Yeah, and we wouldn't be able to do this without Michael. So, Michael, again, thank you. And thank you for chatting Bulldog basketball with me after each game. So, I'm looking forward to getting him up to Cedar Falls here. Might have to take him down to Toes and chat a little bit more and about the conference tournament coming up here. All right. Like I said, man, just a good week. Iowa's starting to win some basketball games. I know they lost to Minnesota. Minnesota lost. You kind of got Minnesota at the wrong time. They hit a 35-footer with their center Garcia to beat a top 15 ranked Michigan team. And so you knew right there Minnesota had some momentum. Then they come to Carver and they took advantage of a 2-loss in a row Iowa team. And that's a bad loss. I mean, they have a negative record. I don't know. Maybe they don't. I don't know. Anyways, Minnesota was struggling. Now Minnesota just goes and beats number 15 Oregon at home. So you kind of got Minnesota at a bad time. Iowa shakes it off and beats a pretty good Penn State team, 76-75. Thelwell and Freeman lead with 16 points. They hold Penn State Bryce. Here's the 5 for 22 for 3, which has been absolutely killing Iowa, especially here in the West Coast and on road games. You're letting teams torch you from 3. And not only 3-pointers, but they've been torching you on the glass. And Penn State only out-rebounded them by 1. And Iowa hit 11 threes. You give that recipe, you're probably going to get a W with Iowa.
Yes. More times than not. Good rebound. And, you can't give up very many games at Carver if you want late season success for Iowa. I know it's looking bleak. But I want to kind of shift gears a little bit to the positive since we were kind of in the dumps last week about them. They're deep. They're right in the middle of the conference. You mentioned Minnesota and Penn State, 2 teams that we've recently played, and they're bottom half of the conference. But it's close. This conference is pretty tight. You start stringing a couple wins together, and you can potentially still get a decent seed at the Big Ten tournament. So what do you think? What games are left on the schedule, and what are your feelings for the rest of the season?
So right now is the time to catch momentum if you ever need momentum. You can't take any more punches. You have to win right now, and that starts with at Ohio State tonight. You're going in as 8-point dogs. Historically, we've struggled at Ohio State's venue. Hopefully we catch them on a sloppy Monday night. We make a little upset there. You get a 2-game winning streak. And you finally get your first road victory. Mm-hmm. You're going to be all right. Like we said, with this new conference alignment of the Power 5 conferences, you're seeing a whole shitload of cannibalism. They're all just eating each other up. So and that fact, when you're struggling, it keeps you alive. Mm-hmm. Outside of Michigan State and Illinois, everyone's been falling short. You see Purdue go to Oregon and win a game, and then Purdue just drops one to Ohio State here at the Mackey Center, which is an incredibly tough place to beat. So I don't know, maybe we catch Ohio State at the wrong time too, and them coming off a huge road victory. Tonight's a massive game. You gotta get this W. You gotta find a way. You can't go in there and just let this team torch you from 3 and outboard the living hell out of you. You gotta find ways to make threes from your own and take care of the basketball. Harding has been struggling with that in some situations. Take care of the basketball and give yourself some solid looks.
Agreed. I mean, this is not only a big game to get that first road victory and start building on a very small win streak, but it's also your last game until you play 2 ranked opponents and probably the two of the 3 top teams, Purdue and Wisconsin, that following week. So I'd love to go in with a little 2-game win streak and maybe steal one of those games next week.
Yeah, I would say so. You're about to set foot into the toughest part of the schedule here coming up. And you don't want to drop tonight and then go in and then lose 2 straight. Now you're basically done for the season instead of making a miracle in the Big Ten tournament, which is going to be so incredibly tough with 16 teams in it.
Yeah,
so buckle up. Tonight's a big game.
Some of these new Big Ten teams are definitely getting their welcome to the Big Ten year. Let's see. Oregon has the best record, it looks like, but still 5-4 in conference. Like it's a tough slate this year. So yeah, buckle up, as you said.
Who's currently not being eaten by their own conference is Iowa State. I know they dropped one to West Virginia, but hell, you're sitting just fine if that's the only fact right now. Still, I believe the first of the Big 12. Iowa State able to destroy Arizona State in the second half with a 76-61 win. And this is the most Iowa State fashion we've seen all year, right? Mm-hmm. When I'm watching these Iowa State games, I'm watching like it's always really close when it doesn't matter whether at home, whether on the road, it's really close, right? And I turn the TV off for 5-10 minutes, and I come back. Iowa State has a 15-point lead. It's been the same shit every year. And I was able to catch the first half before I went to the boat show. And Curtis Jones, I think, end of the half made 15 or 17 points, and he ends the game with 33 points. I mean, this guy's scoring at will from deep and taking some incredibly tough looks and finishing them down low.
Barring
some 7 boards.
Yeah, barring some crazy, injury or, just your game and performance falling off a cliff. He's front runner for 6th man of the year. I think you've mentioned that a couple episodes back.
Is he still 6th man of the year because now he's starting?
Well, I don't remember. I didn't look into when Momcilovic's return is, but
4 weeks. So at that point, you're no longer 6th man. I mean, this guy's looking like he's trying to be the Big 12 Player of the Year.
Yeah, is he leading scorer for Iowa State? He's got to be up there.
By now, yes, he's got to be. Yeah. Right. And we talked about that early in the season. Like, who's going to be the guy that's going to give you the 20-plus points a game for Iowa State? We have an answer.
Found him. Yeah. I mean, year over year, there's been lots of good Iowa State teams. I famously quoted, I'm not sure who that guy is this year and who is it going to be. Well, I think they found him, and it's going to be really fun to see, does this translate to Big 12 championship? Does this translate to the tournament? And I think it does, because when one guy's a little cold, somebody else steps up. And they've got a presence down low that I think is a little different than years past. Like, they're athletic. It's not like overwhelming size, but it just feels a little different this year.
They are playing such good basketball on all ends of the floor with so much talent in every single side and corner of the roster, right? I mean, Jefferson, I think the game prior, he had about 30 points. Now today he goes with this weekend he goes for 13 points, 10 boards to get that double-double. And there was just a shitload of Iowa State fans in Arizona. I mean, they travel well. I saw from Keith Murphy posting there. I know his son goes to Arizona State. The Clones man here. I mean, one of the most loyal fan bases, especially when it comes to their basketball. There's no doubt about it. And I believe they play tonight, right? I think it gets Arizona.
They do.
It's
really late.
Tomorrow.
The gripes of those, everyone's witnessing it now. We've got Oregon and Arizona State and Arizona, and all these Iowans got to stay up late for these games now. I think it's at 9:30 is tip.
Mm-hmm. But I like how they schedule it, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, we're going to Arizona. We're going to keep it here for 2 days instead of having to go back to Iowa. Come back out. You saw Iowa do it with
UCLA,
USC. And then you see the Iowa women do it with Washington and Oregon, right? So I liked how they've made the logistics work for them. And that makes it easier for the fans there too. So maybe, hey, we get a couple-day trip out of this. We get to see Iowa State play twice in Arizona in late January.
True.
Sign me up.
That's true. Nate, I actually would be interested to get a student athlete on the pod and just talk about what that schedule's like with school and everything. I know that they've kind of are just coming off break now, but it'd be interesting to hear. With football, it's one thing. You have that Saturday game, and then you fly back probably Saturday night or Sunday, and you're almost business as usual by the time you come back. But I'd be interested with that basketball schedule where you play midweek games, what that's like when you're traveling across to the West Coast.
That's the nature of the beast today in college athletics. We've seen go more away from academics to more if it's a professional league now, right? So that's something you're only going to see expand more in that area. And I'm sure some of these NIL athletes are already accustomed to it, right?
Yeah. True.
So, I don't know. Iowa State, huge one tonight against Arizona, 13-6. Second place in the Big 12, Arizona is. So you're fighting right now for the top position in the Big 12. I think Arizona's got Caleb Love. It was his name. A guy he played for North Carolina.
Forever.
Right. And he's still out there kicking unbelievable.
Yep. He's over there. Trey Townsend. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe Caleb Love's still around or hasn't gone to the NBA because during their tournament run, it seemed like he was going to the NBA for sure.
I think Arizona opens up as a 1.5 favorite. Last time I saw the line.
Yep.
So buckle up. Huge game again tonight.
Yeah, Big 12 is no joke, and Iowa State's got at least Arizona, Houston, Kansas coming up next month. That's going to be a tough slate. I do like, to me, it's been free money. Throw a little bit of money on the Clones, and I feel good about getting that return. But definitely no easy games.
I would be taking Clone money line tonight too. But like I said, don't be surprised you see a very rugged start here for the Iowa State, and you see all the momentum and the crowd hype from Arizona. Keep the Wildcats in this game, and then I'll turn the TV off, and then Clones will be up 15 points.
All you got to do is take a minute or start talking shit, and they'll be right back up by 10 points.
Yeah, they do. They take that bait and they win every time. We've learned that the hard way. All right, we're gonna be wrapping up this podcast, Bryce, with our top 5 Iowa-based movies. And when we say Iowa-based movies, Bryce, I was ranking these on movies physically, kind of really about Iowa, and ones that's happened to be recorded or produced in Iowa, even if it wasn't necessarily about Iowa, right?
Okay.
And I'll explain some of those movies as we get to it.
I'll have a little blend. I'll put my hand up and say I actually have not seen all of the movies on my list, but if there was a mention of Iowa and I know that it got good ratings, I put it on there. So it'll be a blend of both took place. I know that one of them has a made-up town in Iowa altogether, but you guys can judge me all you want.
If you're a movie critic, we are your last source to get any opinion off this.
That's correct.
We just do this for fun, people. I'm going to start number 5, and if there's one way to get yourself a death wish here in Iowa, I'm about to do that right now. Give me number 5, Field of Dreams, because I've never seen it. I'm not a baseball guy. I know it has a lot of impact.
Wow.
Tim Flattery would absolutely murder me if he found out about this. Shout out to the Moonlight Graham show.
Mm-hmm.
He would kill me. There's no doubt about it. I'm sorry, Tim. I've never seen the movie. I know it's nostalgic. I know it basically is almost Iowa, right? The Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner. Sorry, just haven't seen it. I don't
Nate, that is wild.
Yeah.
Are you never going to watch it?
No, I don't think so. Unless the only time I'll ever watch it is if I watch it with Tim Flattery.
Okay.
Which he would probably decline. He might be a little creeped out about that. Maybe him and I can go to the Field of Dreams together and watch it on like a projector.
Do like a drive-in movie thing.
Uh-huh.
I am surprised they don't do that.
Right.
Right at opening day. Like almost like have opening day as a drive-in theater setup. That'd be awesome. Great business idea.
Yeah. Don't be surprised. Yeah, don't be surprised if you don't see me. I might have some targets in my back here this week.
You'll see that on my list, but in a more appropriate spot, everybody. Don't you worry. We're going to give credit to Kevin Costner and the folks at Field of Dreams. Number 5 for me, Sleeping with the Enemy. Never seen it. It's got Julia Roberts in it. I
never even heard of it.
It just takes place allegedly in Iowa. It looks good. It gets decent ratings. I want to say like a 7 out of 10. I don't know. Never seen it. And hopefully
you can tell where your list is going to be, people. Yeah, when I was looking up these movies, I was a little surprised the lack of Iowa-based movies.
Yeah. I just sort of have to throw stuff on there. If it had recognizable characters, I was going to put it on the list. A couple of them I've seen, though.
What's your number 4?
Number 4, we've got Children of the Corn. Again, hand up, never seen it, but it's one of those iconic ones. I know it's a horror film. I know there's children come out of the corn, scare everybody to death, but I have no idea what other part of the premise is. Have you ever seen this movie?
Yes, I have, and you'll see this on my list, too.
Okay.
Actually, no, I have never seen this movie. My bad. But I have it on my list.
Okay.
Yeah, so give me number 4, The Crazies, which I have seen. Which I believe
also
is
scary, right?
Yep, scary movie. It's about the government like pitting this big bubble or something. I haven't seen it forever. Have you seen it?
No, dude. I haven't seen any of these movies.
These guys go crazy. It was like something tainted in the water. I think the government purposely did it or something like that, and it just happens to take place in Iowa, and people start losing their shit. Number 3, Children of the Corn. I've not seen it. The 1984 were the worst. I told you, people, if you're a movie critic and you like Rotten Tomatoes, we are the last people you want to listen to a majority of our segments. I mean, we are not knowledgeable at all. Children of the Corn, not seen. That makes number 3 my list.
Number 3, What's Eating Gilbert Grape? Have not seen it.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Yep.
I've never even heard of these movies, Bryce.
And this is another one. For anyone watching, I have to record like this because the show's gone off the rails, and I'm realizing how ridiculous this segment is.
Give us that pretty face. You look good.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape? It's got Leonardo DiCaprio, and I'm pretty sure it has Johnny Depp.
Huh.
So at least two of these movies. I don't really care about Children of the Corn or The Crazies, but I probably will watch Sleeping with the Enemy and What's Eating Gilbert Grape because I've heard about that one a lot.
Okay, I have not. That was your number 3?
Yep.
What's your number 2?
Okay, let's snake back to a movie I've actually seen.
Okay, so that's where we're at my list too. I've actually seen these movies.
Okay.
I almost texted you. I say, bro, we might have to cut this down to our top 3.
Yeah, truly, because I would say I'm like a 5 out of 10 movie buff. I've seen a lot of the good movies, but I'm not going out of my way to watch everything.
No.
Number 2, I've got Final Season. It's about a team in Norway, Iowa that, again, baseball movie that gets consolidated into what is now Benton Community School District. And it's a great baseball movie. Just kind of tugs at the heartstrings. They do a really good job of, the scenery, just really bringing you into that like nostalgic 1980s baseball feel. Really good movie. I watched it when I was like still playing baseball too, so I think that's probably why I have a little bit of a.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie. It's got the character from Rudy Whittaker from.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, he plays in that movie. Yeah, the town of North Norway, which is just southwest of Cedar Rapids. I always think of that movie every time I have to deliver a project there.
Yep.
And inspirational story, and they go on to win the state championship right in their final year. And
crazy.
They beat like a 4A Cedar Rapids team or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And just like looking into it, I had kind of forgotten. It's been probably over 10 years since I've seen the movie. Norway had like 20 championships under their belt.
They were a ridiculous powerhouse, right? It reminds me of the if you want to relate to basketball terms, it's like Hoosiers.
Yes. Yep. It is the baseball version of Hoosiers for sure. Yep. See, that's my problem too. Is like I was watching like Remember the Titans, Hoosiers, Glory Road. Like I was all basketball growing up, so I didn't watch a lot of these like crazies and Children of the Corn. So anyone that gives a shit, I was busy being a kid watching sports movies.
I'm just fine with that.
Is it you number 1 or me number 1?
Me number 2.
Okay.
Twister, 1996. The original Twister was filmed in Iowa and Oklahoma City, I believe.
Yep.
I believe it doesn't really necessarily take place hypothetically within the movie of Iowa, but I love Storms, baby. And if it has anything to do with Iowa, I'm claiming it.
Did you watch Twister 2?
Loved it. Great soundtrack. Man, I love Twister 2.
Okay, again, I got to watch Twister 1 and Twister 2.
Oh, you haven't seen either?
Both look good, yeah. I'm down to watch them, but just haven't gotten around to it.
And
number 1.
Number 1. The Final Season.
Good movie. Yep, we've said all we need to say about it, but shout out to Benton and Norway. You guys had a legendary run. Baseball will round out my number 1 as well. I'm talking Ray Liotta, James Earl Jones, and Kevin Costner in The Field of Dreams. I've been to the site up there in Dyersville. A lot of my family, actually one of my dad's older brothers lives up in Dubuque, and one summer we were driving up there and got to visit the site. Haven't been back since. I know that a lot has changed. They've held games at the MLB level at the Field of Dreams, and this is one of those favorite childhood movies. Watching with Dad, he's a huge baseball guy, and it gets you in the mood to play a little backyard baseball for sure. Just they do maybe the best job of the time of showing the beauty of Iowa, and that's why I appreciate it.
Nothing rejuvenated it when the White Sox had that walk-off homer right at the Field of Dreams, the first ever Major League Baseball game in the state of Iowa against the Yankees.
Was it against the Yankees?
Man, what a story. If anything's ever got me close to watching the Field of Dreams, it was that game alone. I don't know, one day, like I said, Tim Flattery, I'm sending you an invite.
I think you'll like it.
He says he tears up every time he watches it.
Oh, man. Truly, it will be in one of maybe your top 20 movies of all time just because you live here. If you played even Little League Baseball, you'll enjoy it. You don't have to be a huge baseball fan. So many memorable moments, iconic quotes. You have to see it at least one time.
Okay. Hopefully I don't have the Mafia with a hit on me this afternoon because I'm going to take a lot of shit when this podcast is released. But overall, great podcast. We got good content. Guys, I think sports is trending upwards here right now in the state of Iowa. A little bumpy start. Not going to lie, that had us in the first half of January. The second half of January has been a little bit better. Hopefully February is even better. Go out and enjoy the weather this week, people. It's beautiful.
Love it. Nate, I thank you for putting up with me and losing composure a little bit. We got through the segment. I think for me, it's just good to see the light back in your eyes. And I have a lot of hope for what 2025 has in store.
I haven't seen us laugh that hard since we ranked top 5 or top 7 Iowa school lunches, which we really struggled on.
Every month or two, we got to have one of those segments where we just go off the rails. All right, people, have a good week. I got no sound off, Nate. You got to end it for us.
And just hit end record.
End record.